So, when we are thinking about running a business, okay, let's say that I have a business and I am selling tutus, like ballerinas wear tutus. Okay, so let's say that I can make a tutu for $5. Then we would say that my cost is $5. Now, I'm going to go to an online shop and I am going to sell this tutu for $50. So someone is going to give me $50 worth of money to buy the tutu. That money that they give me is called my revenue. So it cost me $5 in materials and time to make the tutu. I am selling the tutu. Somebody gave me $50 for it. When we put these two things together, what would be the profit that I earned off of this tutu? Well, I got paid $50, but it cost me $5 to make, so my revenue is $45, or sorry, my profit is $45. So these are three words that we need to understand. Cost is the amount of money it costs to make each item. And there also might be a fixed cost, like a cost for electricity and rent and things like that, that are for like a one time everyday cost. And then there are costs per item, like the amount of material that it takes to make an item. So we have cost, that's how much it costs to make the items. Revenue is how much money we bring in when we sell each unit of item. And then profit is the revenue we bring in minus the cost. So when we are thinking of the equations involving business, we always want to remember that profit is equal to revenue minus cost of uh, things that we sell. So profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Let's see how that applies to our next equation. The revenue of a certain object follows the equation r of x is 2/3 x squared plus 50x, where x is the number of objects that you sell. The cost of producing those objects is x squared minus 50x. We need to find the equation for profit. Well, remember, profit is revenue minus cost. So in this case, profit is equal to that revenue equation, 2/3 x squared plus 50x, minus the cost equation. And be sure when you are subtracting something, especially an entire function, we want to subtract the whole function, not just the first thing. So we need to put it in parentheses. Now let's simplify this up. So we get that profit is equal to 2/3 x squared plus 50x minus, I copied wrong here. This is a 50x minus x squared. And then minus a minus is plus 50x. And combining like terms, 2/3 minus 1 is negative 1/3 x squared, and 50 plus 50 is 100x. So what is the profit equation? Negative 1/3 x squared plus 100x. Now, after this, they're going to ask you this question. What quantity maximizes your profit? Well, wouldn't you want to make the most money possible? The problem is that if you make too many items, you aren't able to sell them, you're losing money. But if you don't make enough items and people want to buy more, you're leaving money on the table. You're losing money that way. So the ideal is that we find our maximum profit. And if we were to look at the equation, P of x is negative 1/3 x squared plus 100, it would look something like this, where x is this axis down here, the number of items we sell, and P is your profit here. The maximum profit happens right here. So this is a parabola. It opens down and the maximum is right here. Well, see, isn't this the highest profit? Well, what is this point called on a parabola? This is the vertex. So when you want to find the maximum of a parabola, when you want to find the maximum application of the parabola, when we see this word maximum or its similars, highest, most, that kind of thing, you want to think find the vertex. So let's practice. What was our equation for finding the vertex? Well, we use x equals negative b over 2a. We're going to use our profit function here. So negative 100 over 2 times negative 1/3. We're going to pop that into our calculator and we get x is 150. Remember, the y of the vertex is plug that back in to the original function. So negative 1/3 times 150 squared plus 100 times 150. Let's take a minute and put that in our calculator. And it looks like we get 7,500. Now, that is our vertex. Whenever we want to find the maximum of anything, the first thing we're going to do is find the vertex. Now, the second thing we're going to do is recognize that this is a word problem. Word problems don't live in the world X, Y. Word problems live in the real world, and the X and the Y variable are actually something different and they mean something. So in this case, what is X? X is the number of objects sold. So the vertex X is the number of objects that we are selling. The y value here, we're not using y. What is this? This isn't a y. This is what? P, which stands for profit. So when the question asks, what quantity X maximizes profit, are they asking for the number of objects or the 7,500? Well, what quantity X maximizes profit? We need to make 150 objects to maximize our profit. If we make more or less, we're not making as much money as we possibly could. The second question here is, what is that maximum profit? Well, remember, profit is money. So 7,500, that is the profit that we are making when we make and sell that maximum amount of objects.